welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we are strapping in, really, for a high-speed tour of ecology. Not just, what lives where, but how it all actually works together.
That's the key, the how.
Yeah. If you've ever looked at something really small, like, I don't know, a single blade of grass, and wondered how that connects to the whole planet, well, you're definitely in the right place today.
That's absolutely our mission. We've got this set of science review materials, and they really push us past just memorizing facts.
Right.
It's all about system thinking. We're taking these basic building blocks, these core terms, and using them like a blueprint, really.
A blueprint for life itself.
Pretty much how entire worlds are put together, layer by complex layer.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And I want you listening to kind of slow down with us for just a second here.
Yeah, good idea.
Think about the most complex thing you can imagine. Maybe it's a smartphone, or maybe like a championship basketball team.
Okay.
Now, what happens if just one tiny essential part of that system, say one specific microchip, or maybe the star point guard, just vanishes?
See that analogy? It perfectly captures the terrifying beauty of ecology, doesn't it?
It really does.
We're exploring interdependence today. You asked about a blade of grass. Well, could a certain type of algae or maybe a small population of insects, could that actually cause a whole ecosystem to collapse?
Seems unlikely, but...
Well, the answer is often yes. And understanding why,
Right.
that's the key to really getting this material.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump in. Foundational definitions first. We need to be super clear on the language, right?
Exactly. It's less about just knowing the word, more about seeing the different levels, like zooming in and out.
Location and function.
Yeah. The simple definitions are critical, sure, but it's the distinctions between them that really matter.
Okay, let's start with maybe the where and the what. We've got habitat. It sounds straightforward.
It is, pretty much. It's the physical address. You
Yeah.
know, the swamp, the desert, maybe under a specific log in the forest, that's the habitat.
Simple enough. But then there's niche. That sounds fancier.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely more complex. It's not just where an organism lives, it's how it lives.
How it lives.
Yeah, think of it like its occupation, its job, what does it eat, when is it active, who does it compete with, what resources does it need.
Oh, okay. So habitat is the house.
And niche is the detailed job description within that house, and maybe even how you interact with the neighbors.
That's a really helpful distinction.
Okay.
Then we have terms about groups of things, like population.
Right, and population is specific. It's only a group of the same species living together in one area.
So like all the squirrels in a particular park.
Exactly, just the squirrels, that's the population.
Got it. But if I look at the squirrels and the oak trees they live in, and the pigeons and the worms in the soil,
Now you've zoomed out. Once you start looking at all the different populations interacting in that park, the squirrels, trees, pigeons, worms, bacteria, everything, you're talking about a community.
the whole cast of characters.
Precisely, the full living ensemble.
Okay, that clicks. So if I'm looking out my window right now at the park across the street, I see different trees, some birds, probably insects I can't see.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a community living within that park habitat.
You got it. That's the framework.
All right. So we've got the basic map. Now let's move from just naming the parts to like understanding the engine room.
Good analogy. Yeah, this is where the short quiz questions in our source material come in. They push us to analyze the connections, the why.
The why behind energy flow, right?
Exactly. And talking about energy, maybe the most crucial player in this whole ecological drama is the producer.
Okay, producers.
If we ask why every single ecosystem, from a rainforest canopy down to some weird hydrothermal vent deep in the ocean, why do they all depend on producers? The answer basically defines life as we know it.
So why is that? Because producers seem kind of passive, don't they? Like grass or algae or big maple tree just standing there.
They might seem passive, but they hold the keys to the kingdom, energetically speaking,
How so?
because they're the entry point for usable energy into the ecosystem. They're the only organisms that can take a non-food source like sunlight through photosynthesis or sometimes chemical energy and convert it into actual food. Fuel.
Ah, okay. They make the first meal.
Exactly. Everything else, every herbivore, carnivore, decomposer, they're just moving that energy around after the producer captured it.
So if you take out the producers,
You pull the plug, the food web doesn't just get smaller, it fundamentally collapses. no energy in, nothing dies up.
Wow, okay, that's fundamental. And the source material also pushes on how the living and non-living parts are connected, right? This biotic and abiotic interaction thing.
Yes, and it's not a one-way street. It's a constant conversation, a feedback loop.
How does that work? Like in a forest?
Okay, perfect example. Think about the abiotic parts, the non-living stuff. That's your soil type, the amount of rainfall, the air temperature, the sunlight hitting the ground.
Right.
Those abiotic factors determine which biotic things, which living things, can survive there. Maybe it's perfect for, say, oak trees, but terrible for palm trees.
Makes sense.
But then, that oak tree, the biotic part, starts changing the abiotic environment around it.
Wow.
Well, its leaves create shade, changing the temperature and light on the forest floor. Its roots draw up water. When its leaves fall and decompose, they change the soil chemistry.
Ah, so the living changes the non-living, which then affects other living things.
Exactly. It's this constant dynamic interaction. You can't really understand one without the other.
Got it. Okay, let's circle back to that specialized role, the niche. You said it was like a job description. The source materials ask us to think about a local example, specifically mentioning Newfoundland. Why focus locally like that? What does that show us about niche?
Using a local example makes it really concrete. It forces you to think about specialization and also resource limits in a specific place.
Okay, so Newfoundland, what's a good example there?
Well, you could talk about the Atlantic puffin. Its niche isn't just seabird. That's too broad. Its niche is very specific. It's a seabird that dives, like pursuit dives for food. It nests colonially on particular kinds of steep coastal cliffs, and it primarily eats small schooling fish, especially things like capelin.
Okay, very specific job.
Very. And that specialization is key. What happens if, say, warming ocean waters cause the capelin populations to crash?
Uh-oh, the puffin's main food source is gone.
Exactly. That hyper-specialized niche suddenly becomes a huge vulnerability. The local example highlights how specific environmental pressures shape and define that organism's precise role and its dependencies.
So understanding ecology isn't just knowing the animal's name, but knowing exactly what it does and what it needs right there in its own neighborhood.
Precisely. And that level of thinking, that depth of reasoning explaining the why and the how of the connection, that's what the study tips in the source material emphasize.
Ah, yeah, I saw those. Write full explanations.
Use examples, local or global.
And support your answer with reasoning. Show your work, basically.
Exactly. Show you understand the mechanism, not just the fact.
Okay, this is all building up to the final section, the big challenge. And honestly, this sounds like the most fun part.
It definitely can be.
Designing your own world. Creating a brand new ecosystem, real or imaginary.
Right. This isn't just creative. It forces you to synthesize everything we've talked about. Habitat, community, niche, interactions, energy flow, the works.
So what are the non-negotiables? What has to be in this designed ecosystem?
Well, the challenge lays out some core requirements. First, you absolutely need both biotic living and abiotic non-living parts.
Okay, living and non-living. Got it.
And crucially, they have to interact. You can't just list rocks and plants. You need to explain how the minerals from the rocks, say, support the growth of the plants, show the connection.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, you need at least two different populations that are interacting. You can't just have one type of creature living in isolation.
So you need a community, basically.
Essentially, yes. And that leads directly to the third requirement. You have to describe at least one specific relationship between those populations.
Like what kind of relationship?
The source gives examples. Maybe it's predation, where one species hunts and eats another.
Okay, predator-prey. Classic.
Or maybe it's competition. Two different species fighting over the same limited resource, like maybe two types of plants competing for sunlight in your imaginary forest.
Or mutualism. I like that one.
Mutualism. The ecological win-win? Yeah, that's a great one to include. Maybe you design, I don't know, a specific insect that gets nectar food from a certain flower.
And in return, it pollinates the flower, helping it reproduce.
Exactly. They both benefit. It builds stability into your system. Showing you understand that kind of partnership demonstrates a really good grasp of interactions.
Cool. So biotic, abiotic interacting, multiple populations, and one clear relationship like predation, competition, or mutualism.
Correct. And then comes the real test of your design strength.
Which is?
The source asks this critical question. What happens if one species disappears?
The vanishing piece again.
Exactly. This question tests your understanding of interdependence within your created world. If you remove, say, a minor herbivore, maybe your system just adjusts slightly. But what if you remove your main producer?
The whole thing could crash.
Right. Thinking through that helps you see the connections and potential weak points in your own design. It checks the stability, the resilience of your invented world.
Okay, and the source mentions maybe drawing this ecosystem.
Yeah, a drawing is optional but super helpful for visualizing. And if you do draw it, there are specific things to label to show you understand the mechanics. You need to clearly label who are the producers, the consumers, the eaters, and importantly, the decomposers.
Ah, the recyclers. Like fungi and bacteria breaking down dead stuff.
Exactly. They're crucial for nutrient cycling. You also need to show the energy flow arrows.
Oh, right. Showing where the energy moves from the sun to the producer to the thing that eats the producer and so on.
Precisely. Those arrows make the invisible flow of energy visible. It shows the pathway.
And one last thing for the design. Something about the real world.
Yes. You have to identify one human impact on your ecosystem.
Even on an imaginary one.
Especially then, it connects your theoretical design back to reality. Maybe it's pollution affecting your water quality, or habitat destruction shrinking your imaginary forest, or maybe climate change altering your key abiotic factor, like rainfall patterns.
So acknowledging that no system, not even one we invent, is totally isolated from us.
That's the idea. It adds a layer of real-world relevance. Being able to design a system, test its weak points, and consider external threats, that shows you've moved beyond just knowing terms.
You've become an ecological architect.
No, something like that. A systems thinker, for sure.
Wow. Okay, so we've really covered a lot. We've gone from basic definitions like habitat and niche
Nailed down those distinctions.
to analyzing really fundamental processes like energy flow from producers and the whole biotic interaction cycle.
And applying those concepts to specific examples, like the puffin's niche.
And finally, learning how to actually design and test a whole functioning ecosystem, thinking about stability and even human impacts. That's quite a journey.
It really is. You've essentially gone from learning the alphabet of ecology to writing complex sentences and even short stories with it.
So what's the big takeaway then? What does this all mean for how we look at the world?
Well, I think the hope is the next time you walk outside or even just see a nature documentary, you don't just see, trees and birds and bugs as separate things.
Right, not just a list of stuff.
Exactly. See the connections, see the energy flowing, see the competition, the partnerships, the specialized jobs or niches, see that invisible web holding it all together, the system behind the scenery.
Seeing the flowcharts and the arrows in the real world. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to take away and chew on. We started with 5 key vocabulary words in that matching table.
Habitat, producer, population, niche, community. Yep.
If you had to add a 6th term to that list, a mandatory term describing maybe the single biggest non-natural force shaping almost all the ecosystems we could possibly talk about today, what would that 6th term be and why?
Ooh, good one.
Think about that human impact factor we just discussed.
Huh?
How might one single concept capture that overarching pressure on ecology in our modern world? Something to think about.